just overall the offense, overall. For me, I thought that the running game wasn't where it needed to be. I thought the offensive line got beat up by the Eagles' defensive line. And let me say this, I think a lot of people underrate the Eagles' defensive line. We're not going to be running into that many defensive lines like the Eagles' defensive line. They're really, really good. They don't have big name superstars that people know about, but everybody on that defensive line is a disruptor. And they beat up this offensive line, which was something that I didn't expect. But talk a little bit about, outside of Jimmy, just all the other offensive pieces that you saw.
Yeah, I thought this would be a breakout game for George Kittle. It was anything but that.
Mm-hmm.
And the offense it's predicated on one player right now, and that's Deebo Samuel. It seems like the run game was a little bit stagnant. We'll talk about that when we get to coaching, because I believe it has to do with that more than it has to do with the players. But you're right. This defensive line is extremely stout, right? Fletcher Cox, for my money, is probably the third best interior player in all of the NFL. Hargraves is an absolute beast. I mean, we saw him play after play,
Mm-hmm.
blowing up the 49ers in the backfield, including what was it, play one. So, there's a lot of skill on that defensive line. So, with that being said, yeah, the offense was pretty stagnant. Luckily, the defense was not, and it allowed them to win this game. They did just enough. Next week is the week for me, because I said all preseason long that this offense would be able to run the ball at will against the Green Bay Packers. I thought that would be their coming out party, not week 1 or week 2. And I figured that would be the coming out party for this offense. So let's see it. If next week they look similar to what they look this week, I'll be extremely worried.
Yeah. And I guess the one piece of like saving grace is, there's so many pieces that have been shuffled in, especially in the running game with, Elijah Mitchell now being the starter, Hasty now getting more run. Initially it was supposed to be Mostert and Sermon that were getting most of the play with, the first team and all that kind of stuff. This offense hasn't been together in game situations. This is like, the first two games, right? So they are going to get better. And I was a little disappointed in the offensive line, man. I really thought that, they were going to be able to be dominant, and instead it was the complete opposite. They got dominated. And, I hope that we don't come up against too many defensive lines like the Eagles, because it doesn't seem like we're going to be able to hold up too much. All the strength that we saw on the offensive line last week wasn't there this week.
And excuse me, I think I said Vernon Hargraves. I meant
Hassan.
Javon Hargrave. Yeah. So, hey, but either way, absolute savage, that defensive line. And they lost Graham in that game.
Yeah,
And I
early
think
in the
that was a
game.
big turning point, because Graham took away the ability for them to just send a flat four and play coverage behind that. And that's when the offense really started to open up on third down for the 49ers. They had to start showing blitz or blitzing a lot more to even try to get pressure. If they didn't blitz, they couldn't get any pressure on the 49ers. That's when the game really took a turn. Graham, it sounds like, is out for the season. That's a huge loss for that Eagles
Wow,
team.
I didn't hear that. Man, prayers up, man. It's tough seeing all of these season-ending injuries.
Yeah.
That's tough.